can't go in there." "Why not?" "Because it's not for the likes of us. My mother would have a fit." Ivy frowned. "What's your mother got to do with it?" "You know what mother's like," Dot said with a sigh. "She'd start saying we weren't good enough for the likes of in there, that we weren't posh enough, that we had no business, that we should know our place. I mean, she used to bring me to look at the displays, but she never took us inside." "So you've never actually been in this shop?" Ivy asked, the cool December wind whipping around her neck. She looked down at Helen, who was gazing up at Ivy. "Helen, would you like to go inside?" Wordlessly, Helen nodded, the excitement in her eyes shining as brightly as the gold star on top of the tree. "Looks like that's settled then," Ivy said with a shrug. "Let's go." As Dot looked into the little girl's copper eyes, which seemed almost as familiar to her as her own, she smiled. The last person she wanted to let down was this little girl. "All right," she said at last, "but I'm warning you. If we get thrown out because we're not good enough, it's your fault, not mine." With that, Ivy shook her head in disbelief. "When will you start believing in yourself, Dorothy Banwell? Honestly, it's a good job you got me as your best friend. I dread to think how you'd cope without me." Chapter 1. She had promised herself that she wouldn't cry. Not after she had used the last of her good mascara to make herself up for this very special occasion. Yet as Dot watched the newly married couple lock hands over the steel knife and slice through the cake she had saved her ration coupons to make, tears streamed down her face. This day, and the union of this very happy couple, had been a long time coming. And what a beautiful day it was. Save for a few clouds first thing in the morning, the sun had broken through, giving an almost balmy feel to the celebrations. Daffodils peeped through the earth, the bright yellow of their blooms mirroring the spring sunshine and adding to the celebratory air. Now, as she watched her friends Mary Holmes Fotherington and David Partridge look at one another with love in their eyes, Dot had never felt prouder. So transfixed was she by the newlyweds that Dot barely noticed the crowd of well-wishers that had gathered around her in the small South London pub hosting the reception. Nor did she pay much attention to the newspaper decorations that had been made by her friends and colleagues from the fabric department of London's famous Liberty store. As for the small mark on the hem of her raspberry-coloured skirt, recently run up out of a pair of old curtains, Dot barely noticed that either. She didn't see the way her friend and lodger Alice Millwood smiled tenderly from across the room, nor did she see Alice whisper into the ears of her fellow Liberty girls, Rose Harper and Jean Rushmore, that the brash matriarch was crying. In that wonderful moment, all Dot could think about was how sweet life could be, and how delighted she was that her precious Mary finally had the happy ending she deserved. As David, resplendent in his khaki army doctor uniform, kissed his raven-haired bride on the lips, the crowd broke out into rapturous applause, and Dot whooped and cheered loudest of all. From the moment Mary had walked into Dot's life just over 18 months ago, badly bruised, battered by life, and in desperate need of a helping hand, she had become like a daughter to her. Together with Alice, Dot had helped get Mary back on her feet, finding her a job with them at Liberty's, where she became a firm favourite with customers and staff alike. Now here Mary was, a married woman, a far cry from the girl that had arrived on her doorstep. As the new Mr. and Mrs. Partridge handed slices of cake to their guests, Dot locked eyes with her own sweetheart, Edwin Button, and smiled. "Happy?" he asked her, reaching into his pocket for a handkerchief and discreetly handing it to Dot. "Never been happier," she sobbed, pressing the hanky to her eyes. "Do you think we would have been as happy as Mary and David if we'd married all those years ago?" Edwin asked. Turning to Edwin, Dot gazed into her sweetheart's copper eyes and gave him a tender smile. "I think we'd have been happier, my love. I think it would have been perfect." It was the answer Edwin wanted to hear. Dot could tell that as he planted a gentle kiss on her head. "Days like this are bittersweet for me, Dotty," he whispered, using her old childhood nickname. "I couldn't be more delighted."